In the last year, we've had some harsh words against Australia, a country which, in violation of so many human rights principles, hasn't even let citizens come back to their own country. But I got a letter recently from someone who wants me to stop talking about Australia, and I thought I should share it with you. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. But no matter how much money you have, no matter what you do for a living, if you're an Australian, you haven't had the ability to come back to or leave your country for the better part of almost 2 years now. The government says that's changing. And, I think people can watch the news. I think people can decide for themselves. And so I have decided there are more important things to talk about than continuing to beat a man while he's down. And so I am going to move on from talking about what's happening in Australia. But before I do that, I couldn't help but share one letter I got from a gentleman who I'm not going to name. I don't want to make him feel badly or have people coming after him. But his letter says, concerns regarding your comments on Australia, excessive and unfair negativity. And the letter, I think, is relevant to many of the things we talk about here at Nomad Capitalist. It goes like this. Dear Michael Henderson. Hold on a second. Hi, I'm Michael Henderson. Dear Michael Henderson, that's me. Hi. I'm aware you are an ex-U.S. citizen, now citizen of St. Lucia / several others. You talk a lot about freedoms in Australia. I'm not so sure we talked about a lot. We made like 3 videos. I have seen at least hundreds of videos of various countries. I felt your videos interesting and they arouse curiosity. You talked a lot about locking Australia down / space, how hard it is for Australian to return / space, how hard it is to get a visa to Australia / interview with Mr. Mark Moss / reply to Australia video, etc. I do not understand your grievance against Australia. I have been living in Australia for over 15 years. Oh my goodness, the education system there is worse than we thought. I do not think there is a better place. I cannot understand the deaths per million, a bunch of numbers and confusion, strength of economy, best cities in the world to live till recently, 5 / top 20, will improve after pandemic. At least 4 university in top 100 QS, space, comma, space, 10 in top 200, etc. Now, healthcare system, I don't particularly believe that. I see a lot of Australians around Prince Court Hospital in Kuala Lumpur. Strength of economy, he said at some point when compared to other Western economies, but you can look at certain frontier economies and they've performed better than Australia, more consistently than Australia. But okay, go and watch all the videos and see what happens when China has more influence in Australia. Best cities to live in the world, till recently top 5. Well, listen, all we have is now. If they're not in the top 20 now, then it doesn't count. But I will say we've done numerous episodes on these, top 10 places to live, and they're always done, or at least the ones we see are always done by Western-centric magazines. They wouldn't ever go and talk about Seoul as the best place to live. I mean, Singapore creeps in there sometimes, but the places we talk about don't make the list. Now, okay. For the average person who's going to live in an average neighborhood, perhaps you don't want to go to Colombia. That is perhaps a province of someone who can live in a very nice neighborhood. But I'm not really sure. I mean, like, who is going through these lists where New Zealand and Australia and like Vienna are like the top places? First of all, aren't cigarettes like $100 a pack down there in Australia? I don't smoke, but like that just kind of indicates to me like they like to tax that stuff, and I don't even know if maybe a 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur wouldn't care that alcohol and tobacco and all that stuff costs a bloody fortune. But if you're the average person, you like to smoke or you like to drink once in a while, that's a problem. That's expensive. And for the rest of us, the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneurs on this channel, why would you want to go to a country that operates like that and takes a boatload of your money in taxes? I just don't get it. And for someone like myself, by the way, who likes to travel, who likes to have homes in different places, it takes a long time to get there, which is not their fault. But I don't see how these cities in Australia and Auckland and all these places always make these top 10 lists. I think they're missing a lot of good places, and they're just kind of going through the well-known places. Will improve after pandemic, he says, so they'll have even more. I will gladly pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today. At least 4 universities in the top 100. Okay. Seems like go and watch videos about all the influence of who's going to those universities. But by the way, I don't have a problem with that. But it seems like it's a bit more. There's a bit more to it. For people here on this channel, we are not as concerned about going to university unless we want to be a doctor or a lawyer. We're spending our formative years, we're going out and exploring the world. If I had to give some advice to the average person who would come, if someone who would come to me and ask for advice at 18, and we've had this before, go and travel, go and find your niche, go and find your opportunity. I'm not opposed to university, but the idea that you have the best universities, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean that you should live in Australia. I mean, listen, go to university. How many people go to university in the U.S., the U.K., somewhere else, and then go right back to where they're from, where they can take that knowledge. So, doesn't necessarily have a big ringing endorsement. But Michael Henderson here, and the letter continues. I do not see there is any comparison with any of the European country you try to promote, such as Ireland, Portugal, UK, period, space, comma, Germany, space, period. No, Australian would like to live permanently in any of the countries you talk, including USA, Kylie Minogue, actress, UK, Greg Norman, golfer, US, Paul Hogan, actor, US, Andrew Bogut, US basketball. Is Paul Hogan still? Okay. Andrew Bogut, US basketballer. US WNBA top 15 player of all time, and several others. By the way, I'm going to start promoting Ireland a little bit more because I think there are some advantages for certain people. Have I promoted Germany and the UK and Ireland? I don't know. When have I done that? Portugal? We've talked about Portugal. And by the way, why is it always I'm promoting? I mean, we talk about opportunities, some of them for others. I'm sure people will say, Ireland's not for me. Ireland offers some benefits. I don't know if I'm promoting it, but okay. And then he lists a bunch of these names of people who would like to live permanently. No Australian would like to live permanently in any of the countries that I talk about, including the USA. Why? Okay. I mean, first of all, there is an exclusive visa for Australians to the USA called the E3 visa. So apparently some Australians do want to go and live in the USA, and I've worked with people who have that visa. I don't know what Paul Hogan has to do with this, but okay. People from around the world, including from UK, USA, would like to move here. I'm not so sure about that anymore, but okay. Maybe in 1997. You will not get many customers from here. Maybe you should come over and check the books. Let's see how many Australians we have. So I request you please moderate your comments. If you've not visited Australia, please visit it. Give it a fair go when you're thinking. Please do not make unnecessary comments because they're all about freedom of speech down there. Australians would like you to comment/complain. Well, then I guess they've been in luck. Listen, they're not in luck anymore because I'm going to stop doing it. Not unfairly/without any reason. Now, I have been to Australia. I have not spent a lot of time in Australia, admittedly. By the way, I like a number of Australians. I do not do this blanket thing where I love every Australian or I don't like every Australian. But I have been to Australia, and my impression in my limited time there was things are expensive, which, okay, you can say, hey, if you're successful in business, what do you care? Sure, that's fair. I don't like the fact that some things are needlessly expensive because the government, taxes stuff and has all these sin taxes and what have you. I also remember flying into the airport, and in the U.S. they used to have like these body scanner machines that I would often opt out of. And I go to Australia, I said, oh, do you mind if I opt out of that? And they're like, well, you can, but you got to fly some other day. And I thought to myself, people complain about where the U.S. is going in terms of freedom, and this is one rung lower. That was my impression. Just the general vibe was like, this doesn't feel super free. Now, you're allowed to, up until recently, leave your house. You're allowed to walk around. When we say countries aren't free, listen, I think the direction in some of these places is getting pretty bad. Nobody's trying to imply these countries are North Korea. But to say this is the most free country on earth, and the fact that I should not make unnecessary comments, what is unnecessary and who deems unnecessary? Then he goes on to speak for all Australians. Plenty of Australians are calling us here at Nomad Capitalist. Now, not as many as Americans. They have 1/15 as many people. But this smacks of, and this is Michael Henderson speaking, a people who take themselves a little bit too seriously, which is not the impression that I had of Australians, but this guy moved in and wants to speak for all the Australians by kind of proving his own point that there's really not a lot of freedom. He says, I will leave you to think about it. I will leave you to think about all this. And I have. If you wish to comment, please respond. And I have. Thanking you kindly, yours sincerely. We replied, thank you for your feedback. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.